Okay, guys, welcome out to the community council meeting again. Landon is doing kids stuff, so a few little housekeeping things. We're not going to have a meeting in July, but the trustees, we're going to have a gathering, so watch your emails. Also for the trustees, we are going to do a trustee group photo. I don't think it's been updated since 2004 on the website. So, okay. Oh, 2018. Okay. We're going to do one when we're all alive. And so come to the August meeting. We're going to do it outside on the ramp. And I think Laurie's going to take the photo for us. So, Mike, do you have a treasury report? Also, we are on YouTube again. We have the little mic, so make sure you're talking into this mic, talking to the mic. And requests, I have another one set up this way. The folks online, we're getting more and more listeners, and they would like to hear the questions. So please raise your hand. Let us get a mic to you so these folks can hear what's going on. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Thanks for showing up tonight and participating. Thanks everybody online. Thanks for being there, wherever you are. Brief treasury report for everybody's knowledge information. Just logged into the U.S. bank account. Balance is sitting at $6,761.38. You may, if you were here at last meeting, you may remember there was a motion made to approve some funds for the Heart and Soul. That passed. So that was a $750 ask that we wrote the check for just right after that last meeting. And then check the PayPal account. We're at $576.75. So people that are donating there, or especially if you're doing your automatic repeating donation, that is very helpful, and we appreciate all that generosity. So thank you. And for people who are wondering how much of that is set aside specifically for maintaining the Fairmont glass bin, I've had some questions on that. I finally got the totals out. $373.88 of that, all those dollars is set aside for in case we need to touch up the Fairmont, Friends of Fairmont glass project that we did a few years back. We've kept a few funds set aside in case we have some ongoing maintenance with that. And that's what I've got. Does anyone have any questions for me? Okay.
Easy.
All right. Thank you. My first time on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're destined to be a star. All right. Let's do fire station number 3 update. Give them a round of applause. Come on, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I would say that I'd be here next month, but apparently we're not meeting next month. Okay. Well, thanks for having us with you again. As you know, Salt Lake City Fire Department is the primary response in this area for anything that's not guns or bullets. When you're hurt in an accident, you crash your bike, crash your car. But specifically, in the last few months, we're focusing on wildland and urban interface operations. To that end, Salt Lake City has created a new position within emergency management of a wildland coordinator, where we've been able to take one of our members who had a lot of experience in the wildland arena and put him into a managing position to help bolster our program. And we're really excited about that. His name is Scott Haney. Previous to his joining the fire department, he was the deputy fire marshal for Davis County. Very experienced. We're really happy to have him. And you're going to see direct improvements as a result of his efforts in making us more prepared to respond to anything in the wildland urban interface. While this district specifically does not have a lot of wildland urban interface, tough tongue twister on that one. We do have some heavily forested areas near the golf courses and next to the freeways. And if you live near those areas, you are subject to some urban interface like fire behavior. So if you live in those areas, there's some things that you can do to help yourself. First of all, Salt Lake City does offer a free wildfire home assessment. And if you go to fire.slc.gov/wildland, you can schedule that. And that will, once you get into the queue and get scheduled on that, they'll appoint a crew to come do a walkthrough of your home to take a look at what we can do to help harden your, we call it hardening the structure to make it more fire resistant. A lot of it you can do on your own, and there's a few things that you can do. One is called create defensible space. So around the first 30 feet of your home, we consider this the lean, clean, and green zone. And what we would like for you to do is to make sure that you keep dead leaves and vegetation just cleaned up. Keep pine needles from your yard. Don't let it pile up near the house, near combustible firewood piles, things like that. Make sure your roofs and gutters are clear of those types of materials. Keep your grass mowed to 4 inches or less, and trim tree branches so they're about 10 feet from structures or other trees or ground fuels, and store firewood, propane tanks, and other combustibles at least 30 feet from your home. Other things that you can do to improve your home is you can add roof vents that have a fire-rated covering and a mesh that prevents any embers from coming into your attic spaces where they can be whipped up by the wind into a fire. So those are commercial products that you can find. I'm sure that we have some resources on our website with the fire.slc.gov/wildland. Okay, the next thing after that is plan ahead for yourself. Know multiple ways in and out of your neighborhood so that if there is an interface fire or a vegetation fire in your neighborhood, so you have lots of different ways out. Anticipate where you think the traffic jams might be. Keep a 72-hour kit handy for yourself so that you can take shelter someplace else if your neighborhood has to be evacuated, and just be ready. You've probably seen in the past years up in the foothills area, we have a project called Ready, Set, Go, where we come out to neighborhoods and do the same types of, we're more proactive in those areas since they're the highest risk. We've already concluded that for the year, but what we're continuing to do right now is we're continuing our training. Our battalion chief today and several of our companies were up in Immigration Canyon and doing some assessments today. So we're being very proactive in the area so that we can be ahead of that reaction curve. Okay, that's the primary message that we have for you this year. Is that this meeting is to make sure that you're taking some steps on your own to keep your property cleaned up so it's less susceptible to spread from fire from wildland type events. And there are some resources that you can use through us by going once again to fire.slc.gov/wildland. Do you have any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
Since we're not going to meet in July, can you remind us about fireworks in the city?
So you will see signage coming up where it'll say where fireworks are prohibited. And I believe in this area, it's everything above 9th East. Yeah. So we're pretty restrictive. And because of those efforts, we've had good success, and we haven't had any major fires due to fireworks. So just pay attention to the signage, and I'm sure there'll be some more literature coming out soon. It's just not included in this newsletter. Yes, ma'am.
Does anyone ever get fined? Does anyone ever get fined? My neighborhood, I'm just by Highland High. There are fireworks going on. There's fireworks all around the 4th and 24th, and they keep me up till 2 in the morning, and I don't see anybody changing their behavior.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if there's a consequence, or does anybody get scolded with their hands slapped? Or I
we
don't
give them the
know.
disappointing dad look usually when we go on calls like
That's
that.
what I thought. I don't think it's working.
It's not. It works for a moment. Fines and enforcement, like if it's significant, it causes a fire, then we do have a legal branch of the fire department with arson investigators. They can pursue the legal side of that crime. But by and large, enforcement is not the fire department's legal jurisdiction. We use our partners in law enforcement when it comes to things like that. And unfortunately, during the times where fireworks are legal to use and they're really busy, everyone's so busy doing just literally putting out fires, and they're running on the types of calls that police run on, calls that are fueled by poor decisions, alcohol, things like that. Everyone's so busy that we really don't have an opportunity, I would think, to really slap someone on the wrist over it. Unfortunately, I think that just kind of maybe keeps it the status quo where things are kind of the same. The fire department does not have the ability to go after every single illegal use of fireworks or even inappropriate use of fireworks. But what we do is we try to maintain signage, and we try to do the public education piece, which is the biggest part that we can do to prevent any type of negative outcomes, whether it's wildfires, whether it's public safety awareness, things like that. Our goal is pub ed, to get the message out and hope that folks like you are complying and keeping people in your own sphere of influence from doing stupid things. Anything else?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you would be able to speak a little bit to how the response model for like a medical, someone calls 911 here in Salt Lake City. How do we know if we're going to get the Gold Cross, the ladder truck, the fire engine with the paramedics?
Okay.
How is that kind of broken down, and how does that response, how does that work?
We have what's called a tiered response system. We have what's things that are broadly categorized as basic life support, or BLS, and ALS, or advanced life support. So let's say that someone's on their scooter, like we see all the time, right? Or their e-bike, and they crash and they've skinned their knee, maybe they've broken a small bone, and they call 911, and it's not immediately life-threatening. In this area, you're going to get you're going to get an ambulance. You might get what's called our squad, which is a SUV with 2 EMTs on it, and they're going to come take care of the lower tier medical stuff. If it becomes a higher tier where there's immediate threat to loss of life, limb, or significant bleeding, then they're going to send the paramedic, which is Medic Engine 3. My partner's in the back, 2 workhorses back there, lovely mustache, bald heads. Those are the guys. Those are the guys that are coming for you today if something like that happens. So if it's immediately life-threatening, respiratory distress, cardiac, long bone with significant bleeding, any kind of significant bleeding, you're going to get us. You're going to get the paramedic engine, and you're most likely going to get in 3's area. You're going to just get us up past a couple more blocks. You have Station 13. That's their district. Now you're going to get the closest BLS and the closest ALS and an ambulance. So what you're going to get in Salt Lake City really is the Cadillac of emergency services. You get the best trained people the fastest. We're usually 4 to 5 minutes. We're going to get to your home and try to bring some sort of order to whatever chaos you're going through. That answer? Okay. Anything else? All right. Well, thanks for having us. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Station 3. Let's go to Detective Follows.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not a firefighter, I'm not that awesome, I promise you. I went to the wrong side of first responder, so way less naps. Real quick before I forget on the fireworks thing, who asked that question? Yeah, that's a great question. One thing that I'm trying to work on, I'd worked on it last year because we had so many issues with, especially like on the Upper East Side, like D6, and then the east side of D7, or our District 7 here, Sugar House, and the District 6. I am trying to see if I can get some overtime approved to get a couple of officers that just go snag fireworks calls all night, because he's 100% correct. Like, we are dealing with, like, we're just called to call all night. So there's no way we're going to be able to go on most likely anyway, that we're going to be able to go on a firework call, unfortunately, until it becomes something bigger, right? And that's what we don't want. So I'm trying to work on that to see, can't make any promises, but that's what I'm going to work on, to see if we can get a couple officers who are paid that night just to go out and snag fireworks calls. So, and if they catch someone, then they can cite them, right? So I'm going to work on it, no promises. I had thought of it last year, right after the season. So hopefully this year I can get it to go.
Who you write a letter to that might be like the chief?
Your councilwoman is right there. Just kidding.
Sarah?
No, she doesn't. I'm pretty
Fred.
confident. It was already pretty much approved. I just need to go to my captain, just cover.
Chief
Just
Fred.
Chief. Fred.
Okay.
It's not that big a deal, truthfully. So
No, but
because it's only
helps
2 nights.
to let
There
him
would
know.
be the 4th and the 24th are the 2 biggest nights that we would want to cover. So I'm gonna. Y'all know me. I will make it happen. But again,
Yeah.
no promises. But I'm gonna make it happen.
Thanks, Sam.
It's a very good question. I can find out. I think it's an infraction. It's not something we're going to take anybody to jail for. That's for sure. So it's like a $50 fine or something. I don't know the fine. Even I don't know the fines, honestly. Courts deal with that stuff. I just give you the ticket and I go, that sucks. Here's your ticket. Next time, don't drive so fast. I don't know how much the actual fine is, but I know it's probably not $50. Probably more than that would be my guess. But I wanted to cover that so I don't forget. So I'm going to work on that. I won't see July. but it's going to be that month, and I'm going to work on it. So maybe I'll follow up with Councilwoman Young, and we'll see. Yeah. Okay. So, going to talk about some important things tonight. Oh, I've had a couple people ask me, so I'm just going to cover this. The testing process for sergeant has not even been announced yet. So I think with the new chief, they're just kind of working out the wrinkles of like how they're going to do the process. So none of that's even happened yet. So if y'all were wondering, which again, thank you so much for the support. It has not happened yet. I promise I'll keep you guys updated. Win, lose, or draw. All right. Secondly, I'm not going to go over a ton of stats tonight because I want to cover some stuff about Fairmont Park. It's probably of interest to a lot of people here tonight. So stat-wise, the only thing we're seeing in the Liberty Division, which includes Sugar House, for some reason, and we're looking into it with our CompStat unit and all these people that do that pull all the stats and look at all the cases, we're still seeing upticks of motor vehicle thefts, which is odd for us this time of year. Usually it is like the wintertime. So take your keys out of your cars. I know I said this like 100 times. Swear to God. Take your keys out of your cars. Don't leave them running. Take anything of value out of the vehicle, that kind of stuff. Just the basic things that we all kind of know, right? I think sometimes we get a little complacent, especially now that it's maybe a little bit warmer. I don't know. Maybe we're getting a little more complacent. Everybody's like super happy that it's warm now, or most people probably, hopefully. So that might be a little bit of it, but we're looking into that. But that's the only really stat thing I wanted to cover tonight. Fairmont Park. So who here's been to Fairmont recently? Oh, all right, good. Or maybe not good. I don't know, but good. So Fairmont is having some struggles right now. Probably if you've been there recently, then you might have seen this or dealt with this. So I want to give a little bit of an explanation as to why that is, and then just kind of cover what we're doing as a police department to kind of help try and maybe solves a big word, but maybe try and mitigate some of the issues over there. So this all started with the Jordan River Trail, right? The JRT is what I'm going to refer to it as. So we all know what I'm talking about. Jordan River Trail, Chief Red came in along with Parks and just partnership with the city and everyone else. And we said, hey, can't allow this, like just criminality to happen on this trail anymore. Like it's just too much. So we did a huge push on the JRT. That basically kind of pushed, and we tracked this, so we know, that basically pushed a lot of the criminal elements on the JRT into Liberty Park. So if you went to Liberty Park 2 months ago, you were dealing with the same things that we're dealing with in Fairmont now, right? Everybody's like, holy crap, Liberty Park is off the wall or off the charts right now. This is insane. If you go there today, you'll be like, whoa, Liberty Park is the nicest I've ever seen it in like 5 years, So what we're doing is we're kind of following the problem as it goes, right? So as it went to Liberty Park, we hit Liberty Park, but we still tried to maintain the Jordan River Trail as best we could because we don't want to lose that either. And then from Liberty Park, it kind of seeped over to Herman Franks, which is just right across the street. And then now it's gone up to Fairmont. So it's not a quick fix, unfortunately. It just takes a lot of like grinding, just staying on top of the problem every day. So it may feel to a resident who literally lives there and sees it every day that nothing is happening. And I completely understand that. And I validate that. That's not something I would not want to have to deal with that as a resident. So I understand the frustrations with that. But I do want you to know that as a police department, we take it seriously. We're working on it and it's a daily thing. So I talked to our, so you may know or may not know, but we have a newer division called the Community Impact Division, the CID. And they are responsible for dealing with the homelessness issues and things like that in the city. And so I got with them today because they direct all of our specialized resources, right? So patrol is a resource that's 24/7, always on duty, day or night, and we're here no matter what. Our specialty units are what we can pull to deal with specific issues. And they all kind of came, or at least like the bike units and those types of specialty units all kind of came under the CID so that we could do exactly what we're doing now, take a ton of resources and throw them at a bigger problem. And so just to talk about a few of the things we've been doing in Fairmont Park recently to try and just start to, take care of this issue over there. And you probably have seen it, we deployed a camera out there. So you might have seen that. That kind of helps us. It's not necessarily monitored 24/7, but it records, so it helps us with that. And then it's a deterrent as well on top of that. Our bike squads. So again, we used to have like a Pioneer Division, a Liberty Division, and a Central Division. Now it's all just under the CID. So our bike squads have been hitting this in addition to like just a couple of the other specialty squads that we have. They've been hitting it as often as we can. So again, we're trying to keep the JRT, we're trying to keep Liberty, we're trying to keep Herman Franks without letting those go back, right? We're not trying to regress, we're trying to progress. So progress, yeah. Can't speak for a second. So I'll get there eventually. They didn't hire me because I'm smart, right? That's what I've been told. So you know, we're not trying to regress, we're trying to progress. So what they've done is we've been in the park. Essentially what they do is they've split it up between the squads. So Monday through Thursdays, you might see them there a little more in the morning hours, but they'll definitely be there in the afternoon hours as well. They've also pulled some of like the mitigation officers that we use in the downtown area and have assigned them to like the different areas like Liberty, the JRT, Fairmont. We've also pulled like the other bike units that work the afternoon shifts and the later shifts and had them hit Fairmont Park. But again, these days kind of like stagger. So you may see some in the morning on one day and not some in the morning on the next day. You might see a ton in the evening at like between 7 and 11 p.m. And then you might not see any until, you know, 6 a.m. the next morning. So that's kind of how we've been doing that. And then on top of all that, and I think most of you are aware of this because this has been going on for a while, we have what we call like the park rejuvenation overtime officers that they go through Liberty, Fairmont, and really any park, but those are the two main ones that they deal with right now. And they make sure that nobody is camping in the park overnight when it's trespassing, right? So again, these are all good things, but they have consequences. And so when we push people out of the park, then they tend to go into the neighborhoods or into the surrounding areas. And so that's where I need you all to come in to help me, and which you have. I've gotten tons of emails, which is good because it helps direct me where I can then take those emails and send it to the commander over the CID, over the Community Impact Division, and say, hey, this is where we're having problems in this specific area in the neighborhood, and then he can take resources and start throwing it into that area. So, you know, continue to reach out, continue to call dispatch when there's issues. It's just one of those things we're gonna have to stay on top of it until you know the problem is solved or until it. Yeah, sure. It's okay. I'll be bartending down there. It's all good. She said till hell freezes over. So if anybody didn't hear that. Yeah, so that's kind of the idea behind it. That's the reason why we've had all this movement into Fairmont Park. That's kind of what we're doing about it. So just to highlight a couple of awesome things. Oh, and this includes the S line too. We're very, very aware of the S line. We've been working on the S line just as much as Fairmont Park. They cover the S line as well. I think when we first started hitting it hard, which was maybe 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, they removed like 60 people from the S line. Like it was a lot. So again, you know, it's not something that's just going to be like a boom, boom, and it's gone. Like it's going to take a lot of just hands-on work until, and again, we're always offering resources, right? But I think with Chief Red and his vision and how he wants to see things, we're going to offer resources, but we're also going to hold you accountable, which includes being cited, being jailed, being, you know, going to jail, those types of things. Because sometimes taking someone to jail will hold them accountable. We also have the Huntsman Resource Center now that's just opened up not too long ago. That's a good resource where we can take people instead of jail who have a charge, it's a nonviolent charge, we can take them to the Huntsman Center and drop them off, where they're kind of forced to get help. So we have some okay resources that have come online. We hope to have a lot more that come online with different things that are in the works, but just do the best for what we got, right? So that's all we can do. But just to highlight a few different things, I know like one of our bike units made 7 arrests out of there in one night, a couple of drug arrests and just things like that, some warrant arrests. So the other day, Sergeant Meinzer, who you might know, his squad, they made a pretty large arrest. And again, this is like a double-edged sword because it's like, oh, cool, they made an arrest, but then it's also like, oh crap, this stuff's in my park, you know? So, but it's, you know, they're making the arrest, they're finding the issues. When you all are seeing the problems, just keep calling them in, because even some of the smaller things, like you see someone, you know, sleeping by the bathrooms or something, they've made some pretty large arrests just based on that kind of stuff. So, excuse me, it starts kind of small, but then they can work it into something bigger if they have like a felony warrant or something like that. So that was a very long-winded dissemination on Fairmont Park. Does anybody have any questions or anything that I can follow up on?
Okay, hold on.
What happens to all of their belongings? 'Cause when I was in the park yesterday, there were just carts full of belongings that with no people.
Mhm.
So it seems like people who probably were arrested or just got cleared out, but they're definitely, does parks have to deal with that? What's the process?
That's a good question. So if we arrest someone with property, we'll book their property, or we might try and find like a friend that can take their property for them. either of those two things is fine. If it's abandoned, we generally try to give people an opportunity to come get it back. But if it's abandoned for a while, then we'll have Advantage Services come and clean it up and throw it away. It just kind of depends on the the property, how long it's been abandoned, that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's like a number of different reasons it could be just sitting there. They might have just walked away for a minute. If it's there overnight, then it could be they're stashing it. And overnight's a little bit harder. I heard someone talk about that earlier, like the overnight thing. Advantage Services isn't necessarily on overnight, so we don't have a resource to just go clean up the property. Right. Yeah, we certainly try to book it first or something like that, Yeah, well, it probably pushed them all, right? Like, yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, again, so if you're seeing the stuff over there going on, like, just call us. I know it's annoying, but like, if you call, like, just the drug stuff, whatever it is, and the biggest idea behind that, it's not that we don't know that there's a problem over there. Of course we know, but it's one of those things where if we can get it with every angle, patrol, because if you call, patrol's going to respond. Specialty squads, all these different things, then we'll just be hitting it with all these different angles, until we can come up with some kind of a solution. So yeah, property is a good question, but yeah, that's essentially it. Yes.
Thank you. Question I have, I walk through Fairmont Park just about every day.
Sure.
And the one thing I've noticed today, for an example, there's more and more campers, bicycles. I mean, and they're bringing, it's like they're ready to camp forever.
When you say campers, do you mean RVs or do you mean like tents?
I mean tents.
Okay.
I mean, they're packing stuff in there on bicycles and
Yeah.
everything else.
Mhm.
And I noticed that the camera has cleaned everything up over by the dog park and by the volleyball court. Now everything is moving to the just off the sidewalk there on the north side of the park between 9th East and the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of by the freeway, that she's saying. Yeah, so as a police department, the most important thing we do is uphold people's rights, right? That's the biggest thing for us, okay? So there are certain things we can and cannot do just by rights of the Constitution, what people have a constitutional right to do. And so we never want to stop people from enjoying the park, as everybody should be allowed to do, right? That's not our goal ever. Our goal is to stop people from like using drugs in the park or walking around naked in the park or peeing in the park in front of everybody else, or all these kinds of things that take place that are not okay and that are criminal, right? And so when it comes to the property is tricky because if it's packed up and put together and they're not stringing it all over the place, then they have a right to have property with them. We can't keep them from having property with them. And as long as it's not pushed out into like a camp, like they have tarps put out and all this stuff, then it's not really anything that we can enforce anything on and that we necessarily want to enforce anything on per se. So it comes down to a fine balance. Now, there is a new camping ordinance in the works that's going to it's going to clarify the camping ordinance a little better so that people can understand what they shouldn't be doing and that we have a little more teeth as a police department to enforce it. So both sides of it, they're important, right? So that is in the works right now. It's not a done thing by any means, but I don't know how close it is, but it's pretty close. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So it's pretty close. It's getting there. That's going to help us as the police department be able to do a little more enforcement, but also be a little more clear as to what the camping laws are in Salt Lake City.
I understand the civil rights portion of the
Yeah.
whole thing and people's rights to go to the park,
Right.
everything. It's just the fact that overnight camping, I don't think is allowed in the parks.
Yeah. 100% correct.
And that's what's going on. And
Gotcha.
I mean, they're actually setting tents up,
Yeah. That should be
umbrellas
happening
they're
for sure.
camping under.
Yeah, that shouldn't be happening. And like I said, so if you call that in at night, that we have officers specific, that is what they're doing is doing the camp mitigation at night to stop people from camping in the parks and trespassing essentially in the parks at night. So if you're seeing it and we haven't got to it yet, because maybe our officers are over at Liberty or they're over at a different park, if you call it in, then they're going to know and they'll respond and deal with it. But yeah, essentially at some point throughout the night, and Fairmont's been a major focus right now for sure, they're going to go and clear the park out and make sure that it's that people aren't doing that, aren't camping, aren't breaking the law, right? Because just by virtue of being there, they're trespassing essentially. So, any other questions?
Hold on, Gary.
Oh boy.
Total change of subject. What is the city's policy on cooperating with federal agents and ICE agents? And are you guys backing up ICE agents in Salt Lake City, or are they working on their own?
That's a good question. So we don't enforce, first and foremost, we don't enforce any federal laws. So we don't participate in, like, whatever you want to call them, ICE raids, whatever you want to try and call them. We don't participate in that. I do think we probably have some inter agreements. I don't know what they are specifically, to like assist them if they ask for it. And I think under very specific circumstances, again, it's going to go like to our chief. It's going to decide like what we get involved with or not. We're certainly not actively trying to do anything like that in Salt Lake City. We're just, it's not. I've been a patrol officer. Well, I've been a police officer for 16 years. I think 2012 is when they did that. Like every officer is like deputized as a ICE guy and can like ask for papers. And even then we were all like, no, that's weird. So we don't participate in that stuff. We don't actively seek it out. What we will do is if you're like a violent felon or something like that we come in contact with, then absolutely we'll we'll have ICE come in and deal with that person if they happen to be, someone who's here illegally. But we're not like actively seeking anything or anything like that. It's more like we come across a felon or something like that who has the ICE detainer already like in the system that we can see and go, okay, we're certainly not going to keep people from ICE. Like, we're not going to break the law either. But we're going to, certainly not. We're not like out hunting anybody down or anything like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. Any other question? Yeah, it doesn't have to be about Fairmont Park. Sorry, it could be any question. Yeah. So I think she had a question first, and then I'll
Okay.
go to her.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Tina.
Thank you. In the new budget, in the $15 million, there's the little bit that I've read is for drones.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm not sure. I didn't quite understand that. Somehow it implied that the drones will cut down on police calls or police having to show up.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to understand that a little bit better. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think
Great.
so. That's a
Thank
really
you.
good question, actually. So the drones are a new program that we're piloting. We've been doing it for some time, actually. Now, we'll say maybe a year, close to it, about 2 years. Yeah. We haven't had a full-time team. We still don't, but we're trying to get one up now. Essentially, the idea behind the drones are they will take what we'll call like extremely low-level calls. So, for instance, this is one thing that they'll do, right? So if there's a call that comes in for service of like a suspicious vehicle in the area, they'll pop the drone up, zip over there in a couple, like literally like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, check the area. If they see the suspicious thing, they can, zoom on the plate, do all that stuff. The officer running the drone can like check the plate, see if it's a stolen vehicle, that kind of stuff. If it's not, and it's just like just a random person just sitting in their car, we're going to go ahead and clear the call, and it's not going to be a big deal. So what that does is it saves a patrol unit time from getting in their car, driving all the way city surface streets, right? Not the way the crow flies, like surface streets all the way over to wherever, checking on it, getting there. It's nothing. They're going to turn around and then go to the next call. So it cuts a lot down on that. The other thing that they do, and this has been significant and awesome, they will actually assist us with containment of suspects. When suspects run from us, they'll zip those things up. Can you imagine like a drone? Like, sir, you need to stop. You're like, oh, sure. So they'll put them up in the sky, and they'll literally like follow people in the backyards, behind bushes, and they'll radio us like, here's they are. So it's so much safer for us when we're trying to apprehend someone who's running from us, because they can see if they have a gun, if they have a knife, or what they're doing. So that's a ginormous benefit. It saves us, time, effort in our lives. And then like lost children, any of those kinds of things, they can pop them up and start checking the area way faster than an officer can. Again, if it's like a watery area, they can go over the water and look everywhere. It's not. So it's, they're really for like any of those kinds of calls to either assist or take the initial on some very minor calls, right? It's not like we're not going to go like a domestic and be like, put a drone and be like, oh yeah, he or she's getting beat up. Like, no, we're not doing that, but if we get a call like, hey, there's a domestic and the dude just left, if the drone can get up and start following him and let us know where he is, then that's 100%. So yeah, it's a very good question, but yeah, that's essentially a very minor explanation of what they're going to do. Yeah.
So can you talk about what you told me last week on the phone about there being a business liaison detective? 'Cause
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know that. Until
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll give him some of my work, 100%. I'm just joking. I'm happy to help. Okay, let's not get that twisted. Yeah, so another resource we have here is we have a business side of what I do. So I'm the community liaison, right? So my main job is to essentially like get resources to y'all. Like I don't necessarily solve the problems, although I certainly try. But like for instance, if there's an issue in Fairmount Park and you come to me, I'm not necessarily going to physically go to Fairmount Park and solve that issue, but I'm going to make sure that like the CID or the commander, or I try to work on it from a more macro level of like, hey, I'm going to get these resources over there as fast as we can. So for instance, the speed trailer. I can't remember, what was your name again? Eric. Yeah, we got a speed trailer out to his neighborhood pretty fast, I think, right? It was like a day or two. So he like hit me up, said, hey, we got some speeding in my neighborhood. Can you get a speed trailer out there? So it was you, right? Yeah, okay. I'm like, you look at me like I'm crazy. Am I crazy? You're just tired, huh? I know, yeah. Then I fixed it. So yeah, I did the right thing. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Our transportation is awesome. But yeah, so that's kind of like what my job is. His job is very similar, but for specific to businesses. So if you have a business that's having issues, or you're like interested in getting our trespass signs, because you're having a lot of trespassers on your business, or you just simply want someone to come out and like assess your business and see like maybe where the weak points are for, lighting, cameras, things like that. He can help with all that stuff. And we work together all the time. So I'll probably be with him anyway. But that's specifically what his job is just the businesses for the whole city. So obviously downtown takes up a lot of his time just because there's a lot of businesses, but Sugar House has a lot as well. So he does come out here often, Sugar House. So, and his name is Detective Bit Seedy. Let's see, his email address, well, Derek, I'm going to give you his information so you can just put it on that'd probably be easier. Okay. So I'll make sure he gets it so that he can update for the business side of it. If you have a business that you want to, that you need help with. Any other questions? Sweet. All right. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.
Okay, Erica and Brandon aren't here to do the chamber thing, but we do have a small business. Claire is going to come up and talk to us about what she does. She's in several stores here in Sugar House selling her art and her jewelry. So come on up, Claire.
Hi. So it's been a really long time since I have presented. Okay. It's been a really long time since I presented in front of a bunch of people, so forgive me if I'm a little nervous. But my business is all about basically my passions, doing what I love, and helping to share that with the community here. So I am an artist and jewelry designer. I do all sorts of colorful, mystical artwork and also jewelry, which I use crystals and different charms. And yeah, so my goal is really just to do what I love and inspire other people to follow their passions as well. For a really long time, I was a straight A student going in through university, doing things that like weren't really my calling. But eventually I decided that I was like just gonna do what I wanted to do. And the great thing about Salt Lake City and basically like surrounding areas is there's so many opportunities for small business owners. So I was able to get into like a ton of different shops locally, including the Neighborhood Hive and multiple others. So I also do events around town. So you can find me doing like farmers markets, events. There's like a Mill Creek Common market this summer, Bountiful Market, all sorts of things. So if you guys have like a passion or a purpose or something that you want to create, it's really never too late to just start doing what you love. And even if it starts out as like a part-time thing, you can like build it and grow it until you are in like shops and you're selling like full time. You can do like online. I have an online shop as well. And so that's like the main thing about my business is just like, I want to inspire you guys to do what you love. And then I also want to help you guys to be fashionable with some cute jewelry. So your outfit or your style or your mood of the day, I have all sorts of different styles, different types of jewelry, lots of mystical, like some edgy stuff. So it's like all around, just like whatever you guys are feeling. So I do bracelets, I do earrings, I've got like lots of like nature, animal, mystical themes and different crystals to help you with healing energy. Yeah, thank you. So with the healing of the crystals, like if you guys know about grounding, like earth energy grounding, if you take your feet off on the bare, you put your feet on bare soil or bare earth, it's like really good for you. And it actually gives you like ionic like balance. So that's kind of what I'm doing with like the crystals, is it helps to like balance your ions in different ways depending on what the crystals are. So that is kind of what that's all about. And then the artwork is just like something that I really love to do. I've always loved to do it. And so it's a great way for me to get therapy, like for my anxiety and just kind of express myself. So if any of you are suffering from like anxiety or depression, or you're kind of in a rut, like it really helps you to become like self-expressive and kind of start creating something that will make you feel better and like start moving you in the direction of having like a purpose and feeling good about yourself and like what you're doing, and just kind of like getting out of a rut. So whatever it is that you want to do, like if you want to start painting, if you're not good at painting, like go for it and just try it. And like it's okay if you're not good at the beginning, but it's like practice and practice and practice is the only way to get good at anything. So don't limit yourself. And don't think that just because you're not good at it right now that you never will be. So that's my little thing. Hopefully this inspires you to do something fun that you want to do and see where it goes. And then in the meantime, you can come visit me at my events around town. There's the Bazaar Market. There's Creators Collective Market, Bountiful Market, a lot of random events in town, and then online. I'm gypsygarden.etsy.com, and then I also have an Instagram, which is gypsygarden_soul. And you can also find all of that information over there. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Claire. Let's go to Laurie and the crew. The crew, talking about the Community Council's 50th anniversary, and Milo.
Jean, do you want to come up also? No, let's talk about the time capsule first. I'll let you go first.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Milo Flores, and this is
Laurie Bray.
And we just wanted to present something that took place 10 years ago. The Monument Plaza was rededicated. And before that, prior to that, Laurie and I with a group, about 4 others, one that is no longer with us, Topher Horman, we assembled a time capsule. So the purpose of this comment is just that we wanted to put it into public record with you all, or the younger ones that are here, so they remember in how many years they might reopen.
It's going to open in 2054, which is Sugar House's 200th birthday. I might not still be here, but Adrienne White has it on her calendar.
I promise to be there, promise. But yeah, so we wanted to make sure that memory was kind of preserved. So the time capsule, we were able to contact a lot of the local businesses, people that were artisans, people that had made, I think it was, some drinks or two, and a lot of CDs. But so we can talk about the contents.
Yeah, Sugar House Distillery. It was because of Topher. We have a bottle of whiskey in there. Yeah.
So do you want to talk about what else is in there, photo wise?
So yeah, we put printed photos in there. We put a lot of the Sugar House stories, which were events that we had. Some of those are transcribed, some are on DVD. I so wish we had used a flash drives, but we didn't. So keep your DVD players, people, so someone can play these. And then just lots of handmade things like sugar beets. There's PBS gave us a documentary they did about Salt Lake City that highlights Sugar House, all kinds of fun stuff.
And then I think you mentioned something about that we probably have some photos of it at this celebration that's coming up. Maybe some photos of what the contents are. Is that possible?
So we have this timeline we're putting together for the event that Sally's part of, the Heart and Soul concert. And I don't know if we're gonna have photos of the time capsule content there. But we can always put those online.
Yeah.
Okay, did you want to say anything else? No. Okay, so Jean had the great idea that, because really you did, that we should celebrate the 50 years that the Sugar House Community Council has been around. So Lynn Olson has been working her tail off, gathering stuff for us to put on a timeline, and I'll be putting together that timeline, and Adrian's going to help me. I still would like to hear from some of you on outstanding things that you think the community council has done. We can't begin to include everything. If it was up to Lynn Olson, she'd have every letter that Judy has written. And I said, people aren't going to read those, sorry. So we're going to have it's going to be on a grid. It's going to be physical. You can look at it. There'll be photos and explanations. I need 2 volunteers. So the festival's from 3 to 8 p.m., right, Sally? And it's going to be in Sally's yard. And we have 1-hour shifts. So Jean's going to take a shift. I'm going to take a shift. Adrian White is going to take a shift. I need 2 more people. You can talk to me afterwards. You don't have to be on the council, but it would be helpful if you can read. You can look at what's on the timeline. Or anyway, we can explain things to you. But the purpose of doing this is because it's such a large gathering. People come from everywhere, and a lot of people in Sugar House. And I want them to be informed about what we do. I think a lot of people have no idea. People believe it or not, the council and the Chamber of Commerce confused. They don't understand. Even people that I've known that are in Sugar House for decades don't understand the difference sometimes. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of your photos that are on the Community Council website, and I'm going to print them with your name. So if you want a new photo on there, who's updating those, Derek? Okay, so if you don't like the photo that's currently on the website, Breen, change that. Jean, what do you have to say about it?
You know, the one thing is that we're made up of 8 different neighborhoods. And what we need to do is celebrate each and every neighborhood. I know the Grandview is going to be doing the Highland Park area. And so they've already got their event scheduled for June. We'd like to see something in each and every neighborhood. If it's nothing more than researching the history in your neighborhood, to dig down deep, find out. It's like what I found out many, many years ago. In fact, I've read the booklet that a woman put together. I forget what her name is, but it told about the history of Forestdale, and it was actually a township before it became part of Salt Lake City. And it's an interesting history that she put together of that neighborhood. So if you have older people or young people that are really into history and looking at the history and everything else, get in there and try to find that history, because it's who we are. The strength of the Sugar House Community Council really comes from our neighborhoods, from the citizens today. And the heritage comes from those who were here yesterday. And so it's very important that we continue that on and hopefully celebrate our 100th community council celebration in another 50 years. And I understand I won't be here.
I won't be here either. So So we are going to have a couple more events. We are definitely going to do something at the draw. We have all the signs that we made. I don't remember what year that was, but explain what it is that you're looking at there and the history. We haven't set a date for that, and we will be doing something in Fairmont Park too. But if you have an idea for your neighborhood, let us know, and maybe we can help. But I do need 2 volunteers, so come and talk to me after. In fact, someone suggested you, Sarah. Several people have. Like, Sarah will do that. I'm like, I don't know.
The location of where this timeline is going to be is on the corner right by my house, by my yard, in my yard. We also have a stage, so you'll be able to sit there, and if you're not talking to somebody, you'll be able to hear music because it's going to be literally 15, 20 feet from the timeline. So that's kind of cool too. Good reason to volunteer.
Any questions?
Bring your history.
2828 South, 1530 East. It's Fillmore and Atkins Street are the cross streets. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Music Stroll just a bit.
It's not part of Heart and Soul, but Sally gave us permission to put the timeline up at the event. Because again, there's so many people there, it's a good way to inform people. And it'll be fun.
In fact, some of the things that have happened that the Sugar House Community Council has been involved in, the S-Line, the Draw, the Sago Lily at Sugar House Park, the Monument Plaza. Actually, the monument that is inside Sugar House Park that shows that it used to be the state prison. So all of those things are part, yes. Yes. That's right. So there's a lot of things that have happened. And actually the redevelopment of where Barnes and Noble is now, that was very, very strongly developed by the Sugar House Community Council. And of course, the great thing we had was Judy Short on the Planning and Zoning Commission to make sure that what the developer proposed is what we got. So that's the strength of this community council, and to be involved to make things happen in our neighborhoods and in the community as a whole.
So one more plea. There's no timeline online that says, here's everything the community council has done. So it's really hit and miss. You know, I don't want to leave something important out. So please just email me if you have some ideas of things you don't think we should leave out. There's no way to include everything. And we can add to this, and it can be digital eventually. But yeah, I don't want to leave out Joe Hill. That's a cool monument.
Got a lot of minutes from the past community council meetings. I've got some that go back to 1985. So,
No, you need those because they're not on our website.
right, and I'm trying to go through all of my archives, pull all of that out, put all of my Sugar House stuff together, because it's very, very important. The minutes, especially the minutes in the 80s, because we had all of the master plan as it started to build and come together that are in those minutes. And so I'm trying to find those.
Okay, we're done.
All right, thank you.
Before Sally comes up, I just want to say we've done some recording in the past week with Laurie, Jean, and Adrian for the radio station. And one of the ideas we had was just 15-second clips. People have a memory of Sugar House or what they like about Sugar House. We're going to start setting up studio, whatever day it happens to be, Wednesday, Sunday, once a week back in our Zen Den. So if there's, we'll put that out on social media. But if there's anything anybody wants to come in and say about Sugar House on the radio station, please let us know. Sally.
For the second month in a row, I need you to get your calendars out because we have lots going on. A week from today, you won't be here, but you could be at Allen Park helping with the cleanup project from 6:30 to 8:30. So it's after work time. You can do as little or as much as you want to help with. Bring some work gloves and wear some sturdy shoes, but there's just a lot going on in Allen Park and they would really appreciate the help. So that's Wednesday, June 11th, 6:30 to 8:30. June 12th, the next night, we can all celebrate at Yappy Hour at Fairmont Park. Bring your dog, or if you don't have a dog, bring your kids, or if you don't have kids, just bring yourself. The Friends of Fairmont Park will be collecting doggy poop bags. They have a table set up from 6 till 8 o'clock, and just talk about dogs in the park. And it's a great fun activity. So Yappy Hour, I think it's the Salt Lake City Parks Department that's sponsoring it, but it's going to be at Fairmont Park, June 12th. Okay, June 14th, we have two things going on. One is the park rangers at Fairmont Park are also having a volunteer kind of a light cleanup opportunity. It's from 2 until 4 at Fairmont Park. Contact the Friends of Fairmont Park to sign up. You can do that off their Facebook page or also at Fairmont Park SLC to sign up for that. But it's a chance to meet the park rangers too and just see what they're doing in Fairmont Park. But of course, the biggest thing on June 14th is Heart and Soul Music Stroll. So I brought some little cards. I don't have enough for everyone, but if you would pass them around, you could take pictures. The has the address on the front where it's actually located. Bands are all on the back. There's some bands with some very interesting names, like KY and the Jellies. I don't know what they'll be singing about, but it says they're acoustic pop. So I've just talked so much about Music Stroll. I think you guys could get up here and give the Music Stroll talk. So I'm not going to talk much more about it, but I really do think that it would be nice. I do want to say it's the first time Heart and Soul organization has ever agreed to let somebody else bring a display or talk about something else other than Heart and Soul. So that's a pretty big deal for Sugar House Community Council to be able to have a timeline there and talk to the public about it. We expect probably between 2,000 and 3,000 people in the neighborhood that day. So it's really a great opportunity to talk about Sugar House Community Council and everything that we've done over the years. What else do I want to say about it? Food trucks are coming, 10 of them. So 40 vans and 14 stages. Okay, and then the last thing for June is June 27th from 9 o'clock until noon. It's a Friday. There's an Eagle Scout who's trying to get his Eagle Scout project finished up. His name is Jesse Milner, and he is doing a project in Fairmont Park, preparing to plant trees and then planting 7 trees. So they'll do the prep work and plant the trees, 7 trees. And then following that, first of all, they're hoping to get 10 volunteers. It'd be nice if some of them were from Sugar House Community Council to come and help with this project. But the other thing is Cabot Nelson, who used to chair the Sugar House Community Council, lives right there by Fairmont Park. He has a Boy Scout troop now. And so he is sponsoring a barbecue for anybody who comes and helps with this Eagle Scout project. Then he will have a barbecue for all the Boy Scouts and the volunteers. So they're really hoping to get at least 10 more people, get 10 people signed up. And again, you can sign up for that through Fairmont, Friends of Fairmont Park on Facebook or through the Fairmont Parks SLC and sign up there. Or, you know, sometimes just show up. That works too. So bring some gloves. I think they'll have tools provided, shovels and things. So that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things going on in June in our parks. So I hope you can attend at least one of them. It'd be great. Thanks.
Thank you, Sally. Don't forget your notebooks. Okay. Yes.
Okay. I have a picture here, or a flyer of the map of where all the bands and things will be in the event. So if you want to snap a picture of it with your phone, also we'll be handing these out that day when you get there. So, but I do have it.
Cool. Do we have a Tess Miller here? Tess, come on up. Tess is from the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition. Welcome, Tess.
Hi, everyone.
I am Tess Miller. I work for the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition. Just some information about what that is it is a nonprofit organization that provides statewide resources for domestic violence survivors across the state, obviously. And we do a lot of advocacy work. We've just recently launched our Utah Employers Against Domestic Violence program. So I just kind of wanted to come here and talk to you a little bit about how domestic violence affects the workplace and see if there would be any interest in anyone joining the program. It's a membership program that focuses on training employers on where to intervene and educating them on the signs of domestic violence. It's an extremely prevalent issue within our state. There's 1 in 3 women who are affected by domestic violence in the state of Utah, and 1 in 4 men are affected by domestic violence. This is a really prevalent issue within the workplace because it's not talked about. It's a very taboo situation. One of the biggest things that resonated with me when learning about this program is that survivors of domestic violence tend to have to use, on average, 22 days of PTO or sick leave when escaping situations of domestic violence. So they're using hard-earned time that they have received from working to essentially uproot their lives and figure out where to go next. And so what our program aims to do is to identify employers in Utah as employers against domestic violence and represent themselves as safe spaces for their employees. This really sprung as an idea from our executive director when she was working with a person who needed to be rehomed, but her direct deposit from her employer was going into her abuser's account, and she didn't know how to talk about it. She didn't know how to ask for help, and she didn't know what she was going to do. And so we started this program so that as you're recruiting new employees, you can represent yourself as an employer against domestic violence, or within your current organization with the current employees that you have, you can show them that you're a safe space to talk about any of these issues. We are currently launching this program. We don't have any members just yet, so come talk to me if you're interested. If you know someone who is working in HR, is a supervisor or a manager that may be interested in this program, we would love to see, especially Utah small businesses, join this program and represent themselves as small businesses and employers within the state of Utah that are against domestic violence. We are also running a fundraiser right now called our Take Action fundraiser. With the result of the legislative session this past March, there was a lack of funding given to domestic violence direct service providers. So we are currently raising money to continue to support those organizations. If you follow our Instagram, which is @UtahDV, you'll learn more information about what a non-fatal strangulation exam does. But it's a life-saving exam that will help prosecutors prosecute people who've caused harm with domestic violence and document it much like a sexual assault kit. If you have any more questions about what the UDVC does, or you know someone who's experiencing domestic violence and would like the number for our hotline, feel free to come up to me and talk to me. If you want to provide me with your information so we can talk more about the Utah Employers Against Domestic Violence program, I would love to talk to you. Or if you just have any questions, feel free, you can raise your hand or you can come up to me. I know this is kind of a private matter, so if you have any questions, feel free to talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tess. That's great information.
I know we're all waiting to hear about 13th East and 21st South. Come on up, Leah.
Are you interested in this?
Hi, everybody. I'm Leah Jaramillo. I'm a public engagement consultant working with Salt Lake City on projects in Sugar House. I'm going to put my notes here because I've got a few. So, 13th East is well underway. They are moving along with some concrete installation of the new medians, some of the pedestrian ramps over here by the I-80 interchange. Still working through some storm drain and utility replacement near Stratford, but those things are moving. Roads are opening and others are closing. The big news is that Monday they closed Highland at 13th. So I cannot go to Herman's my usual way, which is, I know, very annoying to all of us when it's our usual routes, but you can just go one more block to 13th and make the right-hand turn. So it's not like a huge detour. That closure is expected to be in place through about July 11th. It may get paved before the 4th. They will be parking equipment in between the closures so that people don't try to drive through it during the holiday. So don't do that. That closure will save us about a month of time in the intersection. So, like I said last month, the big movement is from 13th to Highland and from Highland to 13th. All the other traffic basically slows those movements down. And so by eliminating one, we're able to keep traffic flowing better while we're building. So that is underway right now. When that section is reopened, they'll move closer to the interchange, but we're not expecting them to come to the 21st to I-80 section until later in August. And they are still on schedule to complete like by October, November-ish. 21st South. We expect paving next week or a little bit after on the north side from 7th to 9th East, or Lincoln Street, which is the McDonald's. And then we'll have new asphalt on either end, and we'll just be working in the middle, which is the tightest, narrowest spot. So we will go into a one-lane, one-way, westbound only configuration for like 10 weeks. You know, it's brutal. But then we'll be done. And when we open, we're done. So yeah. So mid-June, we are gonna have a party. I talked to Brandon. Yeah, let's close it to have a party. I don't know. So June 16th to mid-September. So we're saying about 2 months, maybe a little bit longer. We're just gonna have to kind of track it. Again, as you know, when we open the road, we find all kinds of things like wood and water pipes and pioneer era things. So always unknown utilities. We've done a lot of pre-work to try to get those utilities out of the way, but again, there's always surprises. That is construction. So again, one lane westbound only, which means you cannot come off 7th East and go up 21st. You're gonna need to take my suggestion is that you take 80 to 13th and go the other way rather than cutting through all the neighborhoods, because we know I live on a cut through street. Many of us do. People don't like it when you drive through their neighborhood. So westbound only. The detour, the signed detour, will be from both directions at 9th East to Elm, or to Sugarmont, up Sugarmont, and then around McClelland or up to Highland. And then that also means the north side of the road in that section, the side street connections will be closed at some point while work is happening right in front of it, right? So as the work moves from the south side to the north side in that little stretch, the side streets will be closed as they come through in the same way that they've been closed as we've been coming through, as we dig down and put the slurry back in and do all of those activities. So if you're not on the email update, now is a really good time to get on the email update or walk or come in through a side street. Did I have any other ones? Oh, raised crosswalks. Yes, on 21st. What about, what street is that? I'm trying to remember. 10th East, roughly? Yeah. 12th. That's right, 12th East, roughly. They are putting in a raised crosswalk. It's not a speed bump. It is a raised crosswalk. It's about 12 feet wide. We've had some questions about it. The intent is as people come blasting down the hill, as you make that left-hand turn to go down 21st South, there's a pedestrian crosswalk there with a light, and it's pedestrian activated, and people were still being caught unawares. So the idea is to, by elevating the pedestrians as they're crossing, they're more in the eye line of traffic, and that will help slow cars down, keep people safer. We have, I think I've said this before, at 21st and Highland, when we were doing the design for the project, we found there were 1 million PED calls on those signals a year. So 1 million times that button is getting pushed for people to cross. So we have a lot of pedestrians in this area, and so those, while they might feel inconvenient to drivers, they're really important to keep all of the people we have walking around safe. And we heard from some of our businesses at Bill's meeting that they're really excited to see how many people are out and about at nights and on weekends, and hopefully you've seen that too. As the weather's improved, people are really enjoying it. All the bike racks are full, people are out and about. So any other questions about construction? Go ahead.
Yeah.
She's got a mic for you.
On 11, excuse me, on 1100 East, and between Ramona going toward 1700 South. I know of, there could be more, but I know of 2 different places where the curb is cut out on both sides of the street. The yellow plate is down, but the street is not marked as a crosswalk. One city person told me they weren't going to mark it, which means cars don't know that it's a crosswalk. So they pretty much dare you to cross the street. And then somebody else told me that the reason it's not marked is because they're going to put in push the button, with the flashy thing. So does that mean because you can't mark the street that you're going to have to dig up the street again to put those flashers in?
No. There will be no digging in Highland Drive. I will stand in front of the shovel myself. We're not doing that again. I don't want to have it happen. I would need to know the exact location, and I can talk with you after. ADA pedestrian ramps are required in all of those crossing locations. It doesn't necessarily mean that we stripe them, but if it is going east-west across Highland, I would want to know. We are seeing, this is pretty common, but maybe also influenced by tariffs and situation. I'm not entirely sure where our sourcing is coming from, but poles, signal poles, mast arms, the big ones that come out with, and all the little poles, all those, the hawks, any kind of pedestrian activated, all of that kind of steel seems to be really delayed right now. Like every project I have, we're delayed with poles. So it could be that. I need to know the location and I can figure it out. Also, our Highland Drive contractor still has to do some final striping. And I'll leave that there for you to decipher what I mean, because I can't give you a schedule on that one. So it could be that as well. But I will say, we are intentionally not putting striping from 21st South to Ramona. So no lane lines. That is intentional by design, and we'll see how it goes. And if everybody hates it and you let me know or Bill know or Hannah know in a year or two. But the idea is that by narrowing the road and not striping it, that people will go even slower. We have lots of roads that are not striped. Many neighborhood roads are not striped, right? That the intent is to slow cars down. So it's just that small section of the business district where everything is very narrow that it's not striped. Not to say we won't stripe crosswalks, but no lane striping. So let's see how it goes, right? That's a new thing we're trying because it's a different kind of environment than more of a shared street, I would say, than we usually see outside of downtown. So if we hate it or it causes problems, we can make adjustments later. Any other questions?
Will the raised crosswalk be textured on top, and will it be similar to the ones that they put in on 27th South? Because those have been really effective. They're not speed bumps.
They are similar to the ones on 27th South. They're not textured, but they are like concrete. Okay. So
the
not
texture's
super
kind of
smooth.
nice because it kind of makes a rumble sound as you go over it, and it heightens your awareness that, oh, I'm crossing over a crosswalk.
I mean, they do tine concrete generally as part of finishing, so that might just be something that is the way that they finish it. But I don't think we intentionally texture them. Maybe for water runoff.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. When you come back in August, we'll be like almost done.
When we're done, are you going to be a trustee? So we don't.
You know, I was actually thinking about that on my way here today and whether I could do that. So I'm in Jean's neighborhood though, so I don't know if we already have a trustee over there.
We're going to pressure you really hard. All right, Hannah. Let's bring Hannah from the mayor's office up. Give me just a second. I'm going to try to turn up the second microphone.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah from the mayor's office. I actually kind of have a small update today. First, Open Streets is back. If you're looking for something to do on a weekend in June, even though I feel like my weekends are really full, Open Streets is back. It's on Main Street between South Temple and 4th South. There's family-friendly activities. Sorry. Let's see. Oh, nope, that was wrong. Chris was hoping it wouldn't cut off on the side there, but art, music, vendors, food, drinks. And they're also still looking for people to participate. So if you are an artist or a musician or a food vendor, you can go to openstreets.slc.gov and apply to participate. And this QR code will take you straight there. My only other thing is a list of summer events, which Sally already mentioned a good chunk of these. Some of these are city sponsored and some of these are just big events in the city that you're probably already aware of. The Pride Parade is happening this Sunday, June 8th, 10 a.m. It's mostly First South and parts of 4th East. Go and participate or don't drive downtown, whatever your vibe is. Also, there will be a Juneteenth flag raising at City Hall on Tuesday, June 10th at 12 p.m. That's at the East Side flagpole. We want to invite community members to attend, so feel free to come or let your neighbors know. Let's see. Already talked about Allen Park Workday and Yappy Hour. I know this is in July. This feels really far away, but the city is hosting our drone shows again this year. The one for the 4th will be on Saturday, July 5th, so after the holiday at 8 p.m. at Jordan Park down on 9th West. And the drones start at 10 p.m., but there will be food trucks, music, etc., all things starting at 8 p.m. And then the one for Pioneer Day will be on Thursday, July 24th, Liberty Park. Again, the drones start at 10 p.m. That's actually all I have. This QR code will take you to the link to sign up for the Allen Park Workday. They do try to get like a general RSVP count for those volunteer events. So if you do think you'll go, scan that QR code. Hopefully it's big enough. Does anyone have any questions for me? Yeah.
What is a drone show?
Great question. What is a drone show? Drone shows are really cool. I used to kind of scoff at them, but then I saw the one at the Olympics announcement event last summer, and they're really cool. They were essentially replaced fireworks shows because we know that fireworks are bad for our air quality. So the city doesn't necessarily want to participate in that, but we still want something fun to do and look up at the sky and ooh and ah. So we hire drone companies that have them all programmed to make really fun shapes in the sky, Salt Lake City related shapes, Utah related shapes, patriotic shapes. And it's really fun. Yeah, light show. Yeah, they fly up really high so you can see them from really far and it's very fun. Yes, not loud for your dogs. Not bad for our air. Win-win. Any other questions? Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, World Traveler Hannah. Okay, let's bring up Sarah. I don't know if you know, but she's running for office again.
All right, so tonight we are gonna have some fun. So look at these amazing city socks. I need 5 people who want to win some city socks to come up here and put your knowledge to the test. Luckily, they are yes or no questions. So even if you're like, I don't really know a lot about the city, you have a 50-50 shot of still winning a pair of socks. So 5 people. Who wants to come win some socks? Yay, we have 1. Okay. Yes, come on up. Yes, we have 3. I need 2 more. Yep, all right. And yes, all right. We can have 1 more. You can come help me hand out the socks, and there will be an award for you. Okay, all right. So we are going to start with the first question. Are you ready? Okay. Currently, Salt Lake City Council has been discussing the upcoming budget. Are we proposing a property tax increase? Yes or no? He wants socks. Will you take those to him? Go give him his socks. Yes, that is correct. There is not currently a property tax increase being proposed for Salt Lake City. Now, I want to be transparent. That's a good thing and a not great thing in terms of the fact that we are really going to be making use of the existing resources that we have, and everyone appreciates it's tough economic times for everyone. At the same point, it does also mean that we are going to be restricted to our existing resources. And so in terms of seeing like a ton more firefighters or a ton more police officers, you will not see that in the current budget. And we're balancing those 2 pieces. So keep that in mind. All right. Way to be a winner. Next question. In addition to property taxes, we get revenue from other places. Is one of those parking meters?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, you're my helper. Will you make sure? All right, way to go. So you might be like, that is a very specific and random question, Sarah. Why would you share that? So an update, in order for us to make ends meet across the city, noting that there are inflationary factors, so we are paying our employees more related to the city to help compensate for that, we had to find revenue everywhere. And one of the places that we're finding that revenue is through parking meters on Saturdays. So if you've been used to parking downtown for free on Saturday, you should know that starting at the new start of the fiscal year, there will be the same fee structure that you see during the weekdays also on Saturdays, and that helps us cover the difference in terms of meeting our obligations related to the cities. I'll take questions at the very end, Eric, but thank you. Okay, next question. Aside from the other category, which yes, is called non-departmental, we have that in the budget. There is one department that receives the largest portion of the budget. Is it the mayor's office? No. Yes, you are correct. Here we go. So just so you all know, it actually is our Salt Lake City Police Department. And I highlight them as one of the reasons we're asking that question is because police have been negotiating through their union, Wena B, and they actually have increases that are coming related to what we start our officers at. One of the things that has always been important in Salt Lake City is that we are top of the pay scale because we are the capital city, and it is important we set the tone for all the other municipalities. So we're raising the waters, not just here for Salt Lake for our public servants, but across the entire state. And so that is one place where you will see our resources going in terms of the balanced budget this year. Okay, we have 2 more questions. So the mayor has a theme for her budget this year. Is it public safety?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Oh my gosh. Everyone's a winner so far. So like it's all on you, friend. All right. So I love it. It's really important to note that when you're looking at the budget, there has been additional attention paid to public safety. That includes additional security in the parks in the evenings in terms of making sure that our parks are clear, they're locked, and that we don't have any camping in that space. You're also seeing an investment into public safety and cleanliness. So whereas it is basically a flat budget with like some changes in where departments live and things like that, there is one place of increase, which is for the new 5 FTEs for the Clean City team. So right now we have 1 that will expand us to 2, and that's in alignment with the mayor's public safety plan. So those are the only FTE increases in terms of additional people being hired into the city, and that's how we're kind of maintaining the flat budget. In addition to that, there's money going into ballpark with some of the development that's happening around the redo of the baseball field, and then also additional money going into affordable housing. So, correct, we have a theme, and you'll see that in kind of the space. All right, are you ready? You're our budget person, so this question is the best for you. All right, the total city budget, is it more than $2 million or $2 billion? Yes or no? Maybe change your answer. It is! Okay. So You're good. Love it. Way to ask the audience. That's what you got to do. Anyway, I think it's important to know that, like I said, we do have a lot of responsibility in the city, and there is a lot of responsibility when it comes to managing that scale of taxpayer dollars. As a part of that, one of the things that we do every year as the city is we go through the budget department by department in public meetings so that folks have the opportunity to know, where is my money going and what types of services and supports can I expect from that? So not everyone watches every YouTube of us. I get it. But if you have specific questions where you're like, I'd really like to know about this department and what they're using their money for, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm more than happy to direct you to where their budget is posted, along with where you can see the recording if they were one of the departments who presented. Not every department presents. Some of them are just a written briefing, but we're happy to share that as well. So there is full transparency in the budget for Salt Lake City. It's one of the things that I'm super proud of our city for leading out on. And I just have to give a shout out to one of our amazing directors, our Chief Financial Officer, Mary Beth. She has done literally an incredible job in terms of finding solutions with vacancy savings and other ways so that we weren't facing a property tax increase this year. And really the credit goes to her and her team in that finance department to be able to make all of the numbers work. So thank you guys so much. I am happy to answer any questions, but congratulations to Sugar House. It looks like there's no questions. Okay, so this one's for you. Vanna White, not only do you get, oh, go ahead, there's a question, but you get a hat as well. Okay, way to volunteer. One last thing. Oh, there are questions. Perfect. I will just note, in celebration of the upcoming Pride, we do have stickers and pins that we'll just put on the table. They're free. You're welcome to grab one if that's something that you'd like. We do also have just the standard white Seiko Lily as well. So I'll have those over here on the table. You're welcome to grab them for you and your friends on the way out. Okay, question. I'm ready.
Okay. So the Salt Lake City police officers and firefighters and all of those folks, are we right up there with the national average for pay?
It's a good question. So when we do something called, like, we want to be top of market, we actually have what's called the Citizens Compensation Advisory Board, and they help us, along with the experts in Salt Lake City, to be able to look at two different things. Number one, we look at other municipalities in the state of Utah, and then we also try and look at other similar size cities to be able to get information. So we don't take a national average, but we do try to look at comparables. Now, in that space, there's always a bit of, it's not necessarily black and white, because you might have a comparable size city, but it's in California and it's an ocean front. And you're like, well, yes, they cost more there. They have a higher cost of living. It's not going to be apples to apples, but we do both of those analyses to then help inform how we're moving forward. And that information, just so you know, is also publicly shared with the union so that they have an opportunity to use that same data and analysis in terms of when they're putting together what they think the appropriate package is that they're asking for as well.
All right, two-part question. One on the parking rates. You will never hear me say this about government, but we should up those fees. I paid downtown. It was like $1.50 or something. It's kind of like not worth the hassle. And then when I go to other, like Park City, like on Sunday, I paid $9 an hour to park in China Bridge in Park City. So especially within like the free transit zone of like the heart of downtown, I would really love to see like higher parking in front of the theaters and the Delta Center, like higher parking rates to incentivize mass transit and fewer cars and walking. So if the city could look at that, because running a card for like $1.50 for a couple hours, it just seemed sort of like I would have rather paid more. So
Thank you.
that's the one part. So look at those rates. And
Will
then
do.
with what Detective Fallows was talking about, and it's come up for decades in the city. But now that we're in a more active, like in this public safety plan, we're pushing closing these park areas and pushing people around. Does it not call for like a public camping area where we can put people and allow them to, if they want to camp, where they can camp, we can have porta potties or whatever. It just seems like we're pushing this, and it's gone from like district to district. So within this new council, Lisa Adams was a big advocate for it at her time, but the appetite wasn't there with the council. Has there been more discussion about a sanctioned campground, or where are we at?
Yeah, so the focus, it's a great question. The focus of council has been more so in investing in more, I want to say, structured infrastructure than just like an open camping. So an example I can give, it was from when I just started with council. We had the temporary modular housing that we were able to use a parcel that was available downtown to be able to stand up. The benefit of those types of solutions is safety for the individuals who are being served. So when you just create a space, and we've seen this in other municipalities and in other states, and you say you're welcome to camp there, oftentimes those are very unsafe places to be, especially for women and children, but not exclusively, our elderly as well. And so the city wants to make sure that we're not creating a space that then ends up in that unsafe area. I will tell you, Detective Fallows has been incredible. I talked to Chief Red last night. So he is very aware of what's happening in Fairmont and is also very invested in the solutions. The truth of where we are is that we need to have additional capacity and additional service-based solutions and additional space that's not necessarily a traditional jail, but also has the mental health facilities. When that was on the ballot last November, voters did not support the bond that would have allowed Salt Lake County to be able to build out into that space. So we're in a very limited situation in terms of access to resources that we know are necessary to be able to serve that population. Now, it's not all dire. Things I can tell you, aside from the Huntsman Center opening, Salt Lake County is working on a solution, and you'll have seen the county council pass some money recently to be able to build out some additional beds to be able to provide more of those kind of shared mental health services related to individuals who may have been brought there due to like camping and some of those ordinances. Second of all, the state is, we're hoping close, related to securing a property that would actually allow us to expand with both the existing temporary shelter units that Salt Lake already bought, but up to 1,200 additional beds to be able to have, again, more capacity to provide shelter to individuals within that structured service space. And then last but not least, the other component is also supporting our providers. And so you may have seen recently, but First Step, who is an organization that is based in the downtown area that provides shelter for individuals who have experienced homelessness, particularly those who come from a veteran background or have had some mental health like services before. They're expanding to a second site as well. And the city has been investing in providing low interest loans to be able to help some of those partner organizations have more opportunities to be able to expand their service space as well. So it's a yes and to the whole community. Currently, like I said, we're not looking at designating a specific space for just, camping, but we are trying to figure out ways to meet people where they are. And that's where that temporary shelter solution was really great. We had a lot of interest. They were full the entire time. And so we're trying to help replicate some of those solutions as part of the state action.
a sales tax to benefit a few acres in the millionaire sports level. To use that sales tax money to solve this citywide, really a statewide issue.
So that is another great question. So I can clarify that the requirement to vote on that sales tax piece was articulated in a legislative requirement by our state legislature. So a typical situation that I know our representatives are very familiar with, where folks who are not from Salt Lake City are dictating what has to happen with the resources in Salt Lake City. So that was not something that the voters got to vote on. That was something that was passed by the Utah State Legislature in terms of the dedication of those funds related to that specific property area. I think that if you had asked the citizens and residents of Salt Lake, to be quite honest, I don't know what we would have ended up with, because there are a lot of people who recognize the value that the jazz brings to the downtown economic core. We've seen cities who have lost their downtown teams and it has turned into like kind of a wasteland. And so there's pros and cons. Natalie Bachner spoke about that from the Kempsey Gardner Institute. So there could have been people on both sides, but that was not on the ballot. Versus the Salt Lake County piece, I'll tell you honestly, it was up against other bonds that I think had more successful messaging. For example, Salt Lake City School District. So they put a lot of time and effort into educating the residents. And so when they were asked, would you be willing to support a bond so we could rebuild schools that have bats in them right now? Like most people were like, yeah, I don't want my kids with bats. And you were like, got it. Okay. So they got a yes. Whereas the effort on the county side, it was just late to the conversation. And I don't think enough people understood. Like when you read the bond, most people were like, do you want to build a new jail? And most folks are like, no, that is not what I want my money going to. I think it would have been very different if the language had, and there was more education around, we're not just looking to like build a new jail. We're really looking to be able to provide services related to addressing some of the homelessness problems that you are seeing in your neighborhoods. And it's a very different framing. So I will tell you that the reason I know that is because in my house alone, we had this argument where I was like, what do you mean you're voting against the bond? And my husband was like, I don't want a jail. And I was like, well, let me educate you why I think it would be better for our community. But like I said, I don't think that was as successful as it could have been. And I think that that's why it wasn't something that like failed miserably. It was close, but it didn't get over the line in the way the school bond did. Okay, well, thank you guys for your time. And don't forget to grab a sticker or a pen.
Thanks so much, Sarah. All right, let's bring up Senator Bloom and Representative Hayes. They're going to give us a little bit of a legislative update. I told him to dress like a biker. He dressed like the wrong kind of biker.
Hi, guys. I know it's getting late, so we won't take up too much time. I'm Sahara Hayes. I represent part of this council area. You look ridiculous. And it's going out over YouTube. And Nada's here consensually. So really fast, we are in interim part of legislative year. So as you guys are very aware, because I know that you guys are the ones that are up on this and are educated on this, we're in session for 45 days and a lot gets done then. However, that doesn't mean that's the only time when things get done. So we are currently in interim session. So we have almost monthly. There's a few months that we take off. So that's like July and December, but we're going to be having committee meetings and budget. So appropriation committee meetings as well. So a lot of the things that are like more detailed, nuanced problems will be sent to interim for study. So the committees that hear those can have longer than 45 days or a quick committee hearing to actually sort of dig into those problems. So what that means for you is like, I know you're probably used to hanging onto the edge of your seats and updating the news when it's the 45 days. There's usually not much that goes on that's super controversial during interim. However, that is not always the case. There's nothing I'm aware of at the moment, but we'll try to keep you updated if anything is coming down the pipeline. The other thing is, it is a less busy time for us. So if you have problems that you think need a legislative solution, now is the time to talk to us. January is not the time to talk to us. We're weird. We're weird and we're busy, and we're probably going to say hi, bye, and then not get to it. And also, it won't have time to be drafted because there's 104 of us, and people run a lot of bills, and we only have so many drafting attorneys. So if you have problems that you would like to see a legislative solution for, chat with us now, please. We're here. There are other representatives that represent this area that you can talk to as well. Now is the time. And also, really fast, because I have a microphone and authority, I think Sarah is a 10 out of 10 council person, and she's up for re-election. And so you can help support her because she's amazing, amazing, and wonderful. And you can go to sarahforslc.com because Sarah is going to need volunteers for her campaign. She's going to need money for her campaign. I've donated to her. I hope that you guys will join me in doing so because I think having her elected is a benefit for all of us. So sarahforslc.com. Okay, Nate.
Ditto for all of that. So thank you. Yes, I biked here today, and it's a gorgeous evening. So hopefully I'll have been able to get out and enjoy the weather. Let's see, a couple things I just want to highlight. Interim going on. We love to hear from folks, regardless of whether it's interim during session. There's always time for engagement. Interim is great if you have a day to come up and participate in some of these committee meetings. It's awesome to hear from folks. You can stop into our caucus meetings. You guys still have closed caucus. Is it still on? Yeah, there we go. Maybe. There we go. So yeah, come up, say hi. What is it, 2 weeks out? I think for interim, I think we're 2 weeks away. So interim is exciting time to come up and just kind of hear about what's going on. June 17th and 18th. So the 18th will be interim committees. The 17th will be appropriations committee meetings, which are still important but less exciting in my opinion.
They're really boring.
Yeah, but important but boring. Beyond that, so in the Senate, we have confirmations. We confirm many of the governor's appointees for various cabinet positions and other things. I'm seeing this really concerning pattern where the governor keeps appointing folks who are like really close to state government already, whether they're former legislators or former agency heads getting appointed to other commissions and boards and things. And it's really not popular to raise these issues up there, but I'm doing it anyway. We have another one of those coming up where we just created this kind of unfortunate state records position. We killed off a committee. It will be a single executive director now. I've actually been hearing directly from the media, who generally don't lobby us, they report on us, but they've essentially been lobbying to say, hey, this is really bad. We need access to these records. We are really concerned if we run a negative story on this committee, on this commission, this executive director, that we're going to get stonewalled. We're not going to get access to things that we need to do our jobs, and that goes for citizens as well. So the person that they've appointed for this position comes from the Attorney General's office. He's already on the record as saying that efforts to get the Attorney General's calendar were a fishing expedition. He might be a fine guy. I don't know. You have to understand the optics of these things, though, and so I'm going to be pushing back on that. I think we have a committee hearing on that next week. So if you have concerns about things like that, please, it's hard to keep track of all this stuff. We have newsletters. Please sign up for those. You can reach out and we can tell you how. But definitely want to hear concerns about appointments and things like that as well. That's kind of a unique position we have in the Senate. And then beyond that, the other thing I would mention is we are seeing all this federal work around the reconciliation bill. I won't call it the name they're calling it because it's stupid. HR 1, reconciliation, I'll use those terms. There's the other stupid thing. And we're hearing a lot of concerns about what that's doing for Medicaid, for some governance issues, for clean energy incentives. We're seeing potential cuts to programs that have generally been supported by Republicans and Democrats to promote clean energy projects and just general energy reliability and security. So I think Senator Lee is probably a lost cause, but Senator Curtis, I know he knows better. I don't know if he'll do the right thing on this or not, but I would encourage you to reach out. We sent a caucus letter to him. Did you guys send you can. Reach out to us. We can pass concerns along. Reach out to Senator Curtis, Senator Lee as well, but good luck. We'll see where it goes. I think Senator Curtis has said some reasonable things about that. that he, doesn't want to see these incentives killed off, things like that. So who knows? Maybe we can convince him to do the right thing on that one. Yep. He's getting pressure. He just wrote an op-ed in the Deseret News I saw advocating for keeping the clean energy credits. I don't just vote against the bill. You don't need to write op-eds. I don't know. I don't really know what to say at this point because he's said it over and over again. Just do the right thing for once. So yeah, share your concerns on things like that as well. We're happy to hear those and try and pass those on and advocate for hopefully good policy that benefits the state of Utah. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Judy, do you have anything? Okay, that's the meeting. Meeting adjourned. We'd love help with the chairs and the registers are open.
Hi.